우승을 차지합니다.
Hush. Leenock. aLive. (2017) Hot 6 GSL.
Well, Artie, we just saw Sue take out Hush. I think Hush did a good job. I think he does have a chance in the losers match. Sue is looking primed to rocket out of this group.
Yeah, he's. I mean, obviously the favorite until the finals. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's what we would expect. But the way that Hush played that first series against the best Zerg in the world in a matchup that's generally Protosses are finding pretty tough right now, both games he got himself into very good positions at times, or at least a good position in game one. I mean, that's good play. That's good enough play that I would say that if Leenock loses this next match, I'd maybe favor Hush, even though he kind of chokes offline a lot of the time, right? So
the other thing to keep in mind is that I think Leenock approaches the matchup itself very differently.
Yeah,
so
he's
Hush might not actually, even though I think Hush did do a good job, like you're saying, I don't know if a Leenock, just assuming that Leenock loses, because I think aLive's going to win.
I think so, yeah.
I think that's reasonable. I don't know if Leenock versus Hush looks remotely like that
it could be very different. Like, Leenock has generally been a very aggressive player, so guys, this is the schedule. You got nothing but StarCraft in the next few weeks. So look at that. 4 days of GSL Codes next week, followed by I Am Shanghai.
And then GSL versus the world.
Yes.
The dates are out.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a bunch of foreigners coming over and playing against the greatest GSL players. I can't wait for that tournament.
I am so pumped for that.
Yeah.
It's going to be...
Yeah. I'm looking forward to when they release all the details about that, and people can start getting truly hyped up about it, right? Because last time we really saw, like, we do see foreigners versus Koreans sometimes, Shoutcraft and
but never like this before
GSL and stuff. But yeah, this is like meant for that. This is like the sick all-star match.
Absolutely. We're taking a look at Leenock, a player who's been here since the beginning, and now in the middle of 2017 is still here.
Yeah. And he is playing well right now. Like, we don't really think of him as a top Zerg at the moment, but he's always been like right on the edge of being a top Zerg, even when he's not, right? Like, we're like, okay, well, maybe the 6th or 7th best Zerg right now is Leenock.
Yeah.
But as you can see, he's been in BSL. Here he is tonight. Can he get through this group?
He does have his creep-colored hair.
Yes, I like it.
I dig it. But he's going up against aLive, who I believe has also been steadily improving. aLive, a very similar player as far as history goes with Leenock. I'd say it has been more recently successful than Leenock, but he's been gradually improving, and it goes to show you that different players rank up at different rates.
Yeah.
Well, both these guys have been remarkably consistent.
By the way, actually, now that you brought that up, is something that I wanted to talk about a little bit tonight.
Sure.
Is the influence of Gumiho's victory. Because if you look at, like, when Byun won, that was like a very important moment in StarCraft, because it's like, okay, guys, anyone can win if you try hard enough, believe in yourself, that type of thing, right? You practice hard. Byun was not on a team and all that and won, right? So that was like
Which was unheard of.
Yeah, and that was. I think that was an important moment. I think that for a lot of the older pros that haven't had the great success, Gumiho's victory is a very important moment, because all these guys have been saying in their interviews, right? Like, people like Leenock and aLive that have been around forever, like Gumiho. It's like, oh my God, Gumiho won. I feel like I can do this still, because these guys play forever, and then people like Innovation come into the game and just destroy everyone for all time for years.
Yeah.
But now that Gumiho has shown that he has risen his skill all the way up, I don't know, I think it's like kind of a very important victory to re-motivate in some ways some of the more mid-tier pros into realizing, like, oh my God, if I work hard like Gumiho's doing right now, I can be a champion too.
Well, also, if you look at some of the Terran players that have recently had a lot of success, like you look at Byun, right? Now, before he won, people really did not expect him to to have that kind of success.
No.
And Gumiho as well. Gumiho was always good, but you didn't expect him to actually become the best. So we're having a lot of new Terran players become rising stars, and aLive did very well in the Super Tournament.
Yeah.
So he's somebody else you have to look at and say, okay, Terran is really being revolutionized. It's really a race that is... We started out looking at Terran and kind of viewing it, I think in part because of the way Terran operated in Brood War. We were looking at it through a really rigid scope of very hard and defined rules. And it seems now like Terran is actually a much more flexible, dynamic race than we ever realized.
Yeah, I think another piece of this, too, a common thread that we're finding amongst the Terrans that are rising up is that they're putting in more practice than a lot of other players, and Terran is very mechanical in a lot of ways, right? You have to have a high APM to keep up your production, micro your Marines consistently and drop everywhere and that type of multitasking, right? So, yeah, it's kind of cool to see these like champions like Byun and Gumiho bring us to this different place, because before, like, how many years was it only innovation in Maru?
Oh, for a long time. And then TY came up, we're like, it's another one.
Yeah, yeah.
Then Byun came, we're like, it's another one.
Yeah.
But these new Terran players,
we got 3 more!
but they keep improving, and it's really cool to see that all of those different Terran players have a different way of approaching the game and their own style and their own builds. And Byun's still doing crazy shit with Reapers and grenades, and it's getting crazier and crazier if you keep looking at clips of him and what he's able to do and bending the rules of the game. Now, aLive, I think, his style is a little bit more nebulous than some of the other players we've seen. I find when people, well, if someone were to be like, well, what's the difference between aLive and everybody else? I'd say it's kind of harder to say. He's a little bit more aggressive sometimes, but he's overall just very well-rounded.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I agree with you, because I feel like I can nail down a lot of Terran players and really talk deeply about their style, where aLive is like, his multitasking is very good. His micro and macro are both very good.
But it's not like when you look at innovation, and I'm not that's not to say that innovation is like infinitely better.
No, he's certainly not.
Than aLive, but it's hard for me to put my finger on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is harder to describe than a lot of these guys. Yeah. But he's kind of been at this really top Terran level for a bit now. Since that Super Tournament, that's where he really had his kind of big showing, right?
Well, we really had to reevaluate him entirely as a player after the Super Tournament, where he had a very good showing in. But coming into this, I feel like Leenock is a little bit more of a quirky Zerg player. He's always not played the exact meta of Zerg. He's played some kind of alternative B route to a victory.
For the most part, I'd agree, yeah.
A lot of times it's him that's going to decide when the victory is going to be, usually with some kind of very specific tech that swamps the other player. And I'm talking about all the way from the beginning days of Leenock to here. Even though when you see a player who improves a lot, you can see the shadows and some of the old forms of their early play style from how they viewed the game and how they look at it.
Yeah.
But I would feel like if we have aLive versus Leenock, which we do now, I think Leenock is not the favorite.
Yeah, I
unless
give
he really
the
surprises
to
aLive.
I do give the favorite to aLive, but Leenock, this is kind of a new time for him as well. It feels like he's trying to revolutionize himself in a lot of ways. He seems to be a lot healthier than before. He's getting more outgoing. He's he just had a good result in VSL, for instance.
Sure. Yeah.
He's been living with Curious and practicing with Curious a lot. And even though Curious doesn't have the greatest resume, he's a very well-respected and strong Zerg that strategically has been one of the... he's a big net strategically. This guy has everything in his pocket.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're spending more time with that, I feel like that can help Leenock to kind of flesh out some of these other areas that you've been talking about that he doesn't use as much.
So we're still waiting. I think there's been a short delay, I think involving one of the PC's audio issues. I was just notified. So we'll get that.
Control S.
We'll we'll have this sorted out shortly, and from there we'll be going into this game. I'm expecting actually a 2-0 here.
A
for aLive.
A 2-0. First map Abyssal. Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. I haven't seen as many Leenock games lately. I know that he just kind of died pretty handedly to innovation, but who does not?
Well, there's no shame in losing innovation.
Yeah.
You don't say, well, this guy lost innovation, so we have to doubt his play style. We are now going into this game. It's going to start out on Abyssal Reef. It is a best of 3. And the winner goes up and faces off against Sue, who once again was in the finals of the GSL Code S, finishing second.
I'm running for the river. You can ride, you can fly, you can tell them that you tried, but there ain't no going back. They'll never catch me.
In the upper left, in the blue,
Leenock.
I like that hair.
me too. I approve. In the bottom right, in the red,
My insanity. aLive.
aLive.
It looks weird with all the letters being capital, but just the L being big. Like, but wait, we're doing all capital letters. Put that in font 16.
I always feel like there are some IDs where it's perfect to have it all in caps.
Yeah.
And aLive is one of them.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think you could actually have all those letters capitalized.
I think innovation is a good all-capped name.
Yeah.
I like Artosis with just capital O.
What?
Yeah, that's
No, that's the worst.
Or the last S. Oh, it's so ugly.
And for me with Tasis, I changed the 8 to the number 9. It just all goes downhill from there. It's Tasteless with the 2 S's or dollar signs at the end. It's like, this is the worst idea I've ever seen.
Oh my god. And the first S is a number 2.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, there's definitely some art to capping names correctly. That is a fact.
Okay, so the SCV is coming out. And we'll see if Leenock has anything wild in store for us early on. We have aLive just going for a quick command center now on the low ground with the Reaper coming out. I don't expect too much action early on unless Leenock decides to be a crazy guy.
Yeah, I'm actually super interested right now in where Leenock takes his third base, because we have seen the foreigners start to expand
That's right.
to the right.
Both the Laser and Scarlet.
Yeah, and based on the build order that we see out of aLive, and look, he's actually blocking.
Okay,
This
wow.
is the third. And the thing is, I believe that Leenock has some ties to the foreigners, like a little bit. I think he
Seems
actually
like
lives
it.
close to them, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, his English is also proficient. Okay,
Yeah.
first drone gets picked
Ooh,
off. That's
yeah.
unexpected. Comboing the nade with the bullet there to take that out. And the Reaper is continuing to do a decent job. Now, there is a completed bunker. I'm sorry, is that? Yeah, the bunker's completed down there in the lower left. So this may force Leenock into expanding over just to the right of this location, about a screenshot away.
Yeah, and look, he is expanding over into this spot that both Laser and Scarlet have been using. And I was very interested to see this because, again, I believe he does speak with the foreigners at least somewhat. Obviously, he watches those games, but this makes a lot of sense for the map in a lot of ways. It also makes that bunker that aLive was making pretty worthless. And also, just based on the build that aLive is doing, the double medevac stim timing, which is, I think, what we're seeing here, although he hasn't started stim. Okay, there it is. But that build specifically is very abusable at the bottom of the ramp of the natural when you take the third on the left. But if you take the third on the right, that is not going to be an area that you can abuse.
It is a good point. Let's see how it's handled here.
So yeah, this is cool. I like it.
Every Terran player has leveled up their control of the Reaper with the nades.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Because for the longest time, we saw anybody who went Mass Reapers as kind of a joke.
Yeah.
You know, like when Beyond did it, we thought, okay, well, he's pretty good at this, but this can't possibly be a thing. And now we're seeing all these Matrix-like moves being pulled off. The Lings are going to come down. They might go for the SCV on the depot. Doesn't look like they got good, good location there to try to get that SCV. So aLive is continuing to just wall in, get all the necessary defenses and tech up. The starport's almost finished here with stim about halfway done. Now the Reaper needs to be careful because with Ling's speed... Oh, nope. You're not beyond. Not yet. So that Reaper is taken out. Nicely done there by Leenock.
There was the sickest clip of Beyond's Reapers the other
I think
day.
I saw this.
Where
Where
he
he's
just,
going
like-
left to right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's just so good at it. But it's like, I'm scared because he does it so often. It's like if they just like nerf the Reaper or something, like Beyond takes a year off of
Beyond
pro
is
gaming.
homeless.
It's like, oh no, you spent all your time with that unit. Please don't nerf it or Beyond dies. Anyways, the double medevac stim timing is going to be coming up. The creep spread is not perfect on the right side here of the hatchery, but plenty of Lings being made. +1 carapace was slightly slower than we see some Zergs go for, but he has a decent number of queens and lings, so I don't think that this will be very hard for him to hold off.
Okay, unloading underneath this Overlord here. This is all par for the course at a TVZ. You just want to come out here. If you can get some Overlords or lings, that's great. And then you try to pressure the creep a little bit. Most of the time, Zerg is ready. We did see, especially with players like Innovation, they would juke in and juke back out and keep killing creep, and then all of a sudden they'd have enough and they just dive on the Zerg player and kill him. I don't believe that's going to be the case this time around, especially when you get the second round of Medivacs to come out with that army. Now he's coming here now.
Yeah, he gets those 2 creep tumors, which is actually like pretty important, I would say. You definitely need the creep to be pushed out a bit. That's why this area is strong. Another drop headed towards that main base. In fact, aLive picks up going towards the natural.
Yeah, aLive with a very different approach, not so much to lean on the outside of the Zerg's base, but to try to start hitting different locations in the inside. So he has these 2 Medivacs which are going to draw most of the Zerg's attention. Meanwhile, he's going to send 4 Marines and a Widow Mine over here to try to hit some workers. I don't know if Leenock's ready.
Oh! 5 drones immediately killed off. Some more being picked off here with the 4 Marines as well. Wow, 8 drones. This is a very good drop.
Okay, Queen almost killed off just there. The Widow Mine is still present in that location. We don't see if... Okay, well, hold on. He might try to come in here, but that's just too much on the ground for any of those queens to actually get sniped. And very nice surround there by Leenock, actually forcing a pickup here. And the creep spread is looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, it looks like Hydra's, by the way, going to be the order of the day here for Leenock. So we've seen a lot of power out of this strategy. Even lately, Scarlet destroying innovation on this very map with that. Of course, a little bit of damage has been dealt to Leenock so far. And how will aLive deal with this type of strategy?
Well, we're going to have to see. aLive, he's got a kind of funny, cool approach to trying to get rid of the creep here that we don't normally see. For instance, that Widow Mine drop in the middle there and then going back to try to stay outside on the perimeter of the Zerg's base and try to shave this off. Now, he's doing a lot with a very small amount, so he's got to be very careful. Anytime those queens hit those Medivacs, it's going to reduce the amount of time that aLive can be on the map by quite a bit. But no, this wasn't like what we've seen, for instance, Innovation do, where he then has the next group of Medivacs come out, they all meet up, they keep rolling in, stimming, hitting, and whittling down the Zerg's defenses.
Certainly a bit different from aLive. Has his own style here. Still trying to poke in a little bit here on the edge, but good defense coming out of Leenock, who has taken his 4th base up on that high ground.
Yeah, he's continuing to hug the top of the map. aLive has got his 3rd base up and running over here, only just now beginning to reap the fruits of that expansion. Meanwhile, a drop over here in the main. It does appear that Leenock should be ready. There are 2 Banelings as well as Lings and Queens over here. You want to be very careful not to overextend here. And 1 Medivac goes down. But you know what? Holding his own here on the low ground, he might just have too much.
Ooh, yeah. Getting through every single Zergling. Now the Queen's being targeted as well. Some Banes coming in. Finally, Baneling speed does finish up. He's dropping in the main base during all this as well, but it looks like Leenock pulled the drones quick enough.
I think also Leenock pulled the Lings and the Banelings over there, unless they were somehow used to attack that and just didn't do that much. So aLive just diving in here. Great targeting on those drones.
Yeah, still trying to get more damage done as well. Dropping behind these minerals. aLive definitely getting a lot done here with this multitasking.
I think it might have been more helpful for aLive if Leenock had expanded to the base just below the main, but instead Leenock is just hugging the top here. Now, we saw a pretty scary moment where aLive took out all those Lings and the damage kept on coming. We also see that there's going to be an additional armor and attack upgrade here for aLive, so he's got that going for him down here in this location. Baneling's beginning to come forward.
Again, some decent hits right there. Hydralisks are going to be produced at this point, so that's definitely going to add a lot of punch to his army and punish a lot more as well. You can pick off Medivacs very quickly with those Hydras, so all the attacks from aLive now are going to have to be a little bit more careful.
It does appear that aLive has set up a pretty good position over here where he could push from, but he's actually dropping with these 2 Medivacs over here. Once again, going to try to go from where the workers are at. This is being... Oh, no!
Ooh.
Wow, that was some big hits on that army. Now, the drop is not doing that much, and it doesn't appear that aLive was able to micromanage that as much while still running from that attack.
Definitely some good moves still out of aLive, but his tech isn't going to deal as well now with this, right? He's on almost purely Marine Medivac, and against Hydraling Bane, I feel like that's going to be a pretty weak overall, right? You need things like Siege Tank, some sort of splash damage here to help out. does have those Widow Mines on the high ground, so it definitely can help out if Leenock rather overcommits up the hill.
Okay, right now aLive beginning to try to fish this army in here, and this could be another great connect.
Oh, not that good.
Yeah, not
only
as good as I
hitting a few
thought it
lanes.
was going to be, for sure.
Yeah, if he had targeted some of those Banes, that could have been really bad. But, oh, the 4th CC being greedily made on the low ground is going to get canceled before it finishes.
It may have been wiser for him to make that somewhere else. Well, anywhere else but there, especially if he's going to try to be dropping into the main and pushing. Now, there is still this push outpost over here, but I don't know if this is going to have enough to actually break the Zerg. Even though the Terran's ahead in supply by a considerable amount, which is important because there's a point where Terran might max out and then just flood the Zerg, it doesn't seem like he's managed to get in there and break the Zerg and especially stop the Zerg from expanding.
Yeah, and the supply is definitely something that's a little bit concerning when you look at it, especially considering he's making 2 siege tanks at a time and has 3-3 on the way. But you hit those correct Baneling connections with that ridiculous Hydra DPS in the background, and things could go Leenock's way. So aLive's still playing very safely, and definitely got to give him props for that.
Okay, you can see aLive continuing to scan. He's trying to monitor to the best of his ability what exactly his opponent's going to be doing. And coming in here like this is actually pretty cool. He's going to be able to kill the Queen. He's going for the Evo Chamber. That's a great play, and he picks up, leaving basically unscathed. And just slowing the upgrades down like that is going to give aLive a big edge later on. In fact, that might be one of the ways he can set up a finishing blow here as he's just now maxing out.
And he's just hitting 3-3 as well. So to deny an upgrade means you are an additional upgrade. Being up even 1 upgrade, especially when it's a bunch of small units that shoot fast like all the units we see here, is gigantic. What a great move from aLive.
Okay, he's also got siege tanks in position here that can prioritize hitting these Banes if he targets correctly while having the Widow Mines if Zerg does try to commit to wiping this out. A great stim comes in here now. aLive just not quite done with this upgrade, although it looks like he's going to win the fight regardless.
There's a few infestors out here as well, but I don't know if the fungal is actually ready quite yet. Oh god, aLive being so efficient here against Leenock.
Okay, and too many Banelings are being shaved off here. I think this may be the beginning of the end, as Leenock is sort of losing everywhere. 10 seconds from now, aLive's army is going to be that much stronger at 3-3, and I just don't know if there's anything that Leenock can do.
With these siege tanks on the high ground, even Widow Mines still protecting him. This many medevacs healing up everything that's 3-3 at this point. It is looking very strong for aLive. Some great fungals come out, though. That is going to allow him to clean a lot of this bio, but will that be enough to kill the push?
I think the core defense might just still be here for aLive. These 3 siege tanks in the back, as well as the medevacs, some of them without even energy, but still here to juggle and to support. There's an infestor somehow in the middle of that army that's running away. I didn't quite catch where that was coming from. Nice job with the infested Terrans, trying to chuck those over there at the tanks. It's not enough. GG, aLive wins game number 1.
Yeah, he had control of that game from moment 1, no doubt about it. I do like the fact, though, that Leenock showed a very good strategy for the map and all. So, you know, it was a pretty good game overall, but aLive kind of shown us what we expected to see.
Yeah, also it's with that style that's always a little bit harder to articulate what exactly it is. He seems to just have a very interesting approach, especially with his pushes. For instance, we saw the 2 medevacs flying around the edge. That's, of course, normal, flying around the edge, taking out Crate, but then have this abrupt Widow Mine drop with 4 Marines in the main.
Yeah, that was
and
great.
Then pick back up, go back to it while still having a few drops over there. And you can see Leenock wasn't really ready. Leenock hemorrhaged a lot of units trying to defend that. aLive comes in with a 3-3 push after killing off that Evo chamber.
That was a great snipe.
Yeah.
What a snipe. Oh my god. Like, if the game was a little bit closer, that could have even been a game-deciding move.
Okay, let's go into game number 2 on Ascension to IR.
There's a sick remix, by the way. Oh my god.
What was
that? That was like a, I can't remember what song now, though. It only played for a
Are you
second.
talking about this band that's playing right now, Nickelback, your favorite band?
My favorite band.
Your favorite band, right? You
Next to Creed, of course.
Of course. You should see all the posters in Artosis' bedroom. In the upper left, in the blue.
Leenock.
It was like a Star Wars remix, I think, just right before
was
that
it?
song
I
played.
didn't catch it.
It was like really cool, actually. I've never heard that one.
We do take a lot of pride here. The GSL. We've got some of the best music. A lot of
Absolutely.
diversity as well. In the bottom right.
My insanity. aLive.
I can completely say that we have the greatest music director in esports by far.
Yeah.
Probably in TV by far.
Well, we have so many different songs. There's always new stuff. Even if you come down to the studio, I don't believe you hear some of the music we're playing if you're watching. Do you hear the music that we play in the studio if you're watching the stream ahead of time?
I cast every day. I have
no idea. I have no idea. But we have a lot of
And when I'm not casting and I watch the VODs, I
and you're
mute
watching
it
me
because
and
you
reading,
guys
you mute
suck.
it. What you do is you mute it and then you just talk to yourself.
Yeah. I'm like, this is what it should have sounded
What
like.
do you think Artosis do? Well, Artosis won. I
Like-
think there's going to be a lot of mech in this game.
Hey, what about me, guys? Shut up, Tasteless. You're a dummy.
Shut up, tiny, squeaky, tasteless.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, I wonder what could look different in this game. I think Leenock is overall a very good player, but it seems like aLive, if he was an RPG character, is just higher level, has more stats
Yeah.
that are at his
He
advantage.
carries 2 swords as well, so.
Leenock has Lightning 2, but aLive has Lightning 3.
Yeah, I know what you mean by
Or
that.
maybe Bolt 1 or whatever
It's
it is.
easier almost to describe these guys' styles via the RPG characters, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Leenock has nunchucks, but aLive has two swords. They aren't
Maybe-
like the really big swords, but he has 2 of them.
Maybe it's like
And he can throw them as well. He's very good at throwing swords.
aLive is like a warrior, but also has some white magic that allows him to heal himself.
Oh, yeah.
And then Leenock is like a mage that also has a shitty warrior weapon.
Also, when he kills your units, there's like a 35% chance they drop gold.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way to
He
put it.
loots the corpses.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That's how he
Whereas-
keeps his economy going when you kill his bases.
Which Sue's the only player that when he kills his opponents, they drop silver coins. He's the only character in the game with that perk.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh,
If all these players were RPG characters, Sue would definitely be the hidden character in the game. You got to go in this weird
God,
patch
yeah.
on the world map
you're gonna get swallowed by a sandworm
and
to get him.
kill purple trolls for like 3 hours, and
Yeah.
eventually Sue appears.
Oh my,
Yeah,
I like this idea overall. Of making all
there's
these
a lot of fun we can have with this idea.
stats would be this kind of like the arrogant scientist that like figured out magic scientifically.
Yeah.
Has all the potions for you.
Okay, hold up. There is nothing
Zerglings.
protecting these SCVs. Yes, Artosis, Zerglings.
Zerglings.
They're running away now.
Those SCVs didn't drop any gold though.
Yeah.
That was really unlucky. He killed 2 of them.
That's unfortunate. That's why RNG ruined this game.
Yeah.
So we have more barracks coming down here. The tech lab is on the way, and the double eBay actually made in the front is a pretty open statement that aLive does not want to do anything too aggressive right away.
Yeah, going for that very quick 3 command center and everything, he's kind of playing towards the map. This map is truly large, so it's hard to actually kill your opponent with a push, and this is definitely a map, if Leenock's going to win one, a good one for him to win, right? Because, like, even if aLive gets a little bit ahead, to walk all the way across, like, aLive should, or rather, Leenock should be able to get really big creep spread, a lot of upgrades, kind of be safe in these ways. A lot of spotting for drops and everything, too. It's not like your main is out in the middle of the map. You know,
Yeah.
there's not going to be many paths in there. So, definitely can be a good map for him, but aLive playing towards that by going so eco-heavy.
Okay, we got the Overseer about to come in here. Now, I believe Leenock should already have a pretty good idea, but it never hurts to check. So he's going to come in here and try to get a
Drop
read.
He's actually
Oh,
gonna
I'm
drop
sorry.
in
That's
there.
a drop, Overlord? I don't...
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm totally off here. Okay, so he's just going to drop a few legs in here. Which is fine as well, to come in there and see if he can't get some workers.
There are a couple Marines on the fringe of the base looking for stuff like this, so it probably won't do that much. But this doesn't cost Leenock really too much to even try.
Well, and it has the same function of scouting as well. You get to come in here, you try to get some workers. If this doesn't work out, you can pick up and run away. Now, it looks like the Overlord is actually going to get picked off, which is unfortunate because that does hurt. I mean, losing the Lings is understandable because you'll probably still get some SCVs or some Marines.
Yeah.
But it's always handy to have that for later on.
Yeah, a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
At least he has a lot of intel going up to the layer at this point. Still only has that 1 evolution chip. We'd love to see him throw down a second one here. And let's not forget, he's on 3 bases against 3 bases. aLive just landed this. So that is something that will become a problem very quickly for Leenock if he does not remedy it, either through damage or expansion himself.
Yeah, with the sheer amount of Lings that are over here, Terran actually can't quite come out. In fact, there's not really anything to assist these Marines, and Marines don't really get that strong until they have stim, and they don't quite have stim just yet.
Ooh,
narrowly pulls out there.
big enough Marine ball there to keep those Zerglings back.
He had just the right surface area where the Lings couldn't quite get a good surrender. If Lings had slipped through the bottom there, all those Marines would have been picked off.
Yeah, luckily he did have some SCVs in the back. He got up against a wall and all that, so this actually works out well for aLive, I would say, to get rid of all those Zerglings. Definitely some drones missing from Leenock's economy to try these attacks, the drop in the main plus that Zergling attack. And I don't think quite enough damage done to justify.
Okay, we have another expansion coming down here, which is only natural considering Terran takes his third over here. And we have a lot more Lings being made. I think there's a chance that Leenock's flirting with the idea of trying to do some kind of aggression over here on that Terran's third base, knowing that some of those Marines were thinned out, the rate at which Zerg can make Zerglings, and the snap of a finger is definitely more momentous than the rate at which Terran can try to reactor out Marines, for instance.
Yeah, he certainly has a good amount of Zerglings right now, so I would be surprised if he doesn't at least poke in here and see what's going on and see if he can get anything. But 3 racks is out in the middle. I kind of like that.
I want to point out that losing that drop Overlord is actually quite annoying from earlier on, because he could have dropped Lings over there and then tried to do a big attack over here to the front. It might have been a lot more impactful.
And it's always a threat for the rest of the game. If you kill it, it's like, are you really going to send another one over there, Leenock, to do this again? A lot of times people don't. Now,
don't Lings look funny when you right-click on a medevac like this?
Yeah,
Does this ever bother you?
Does it bother me?
Does it bother you?
No.
It kind of looks funny.
I got thicker skin
Look at
than that.
Looks like they're all headbutting each other.
They're all very excited. They all want the autographs of the Marines within.
I imagine them like hungry dogs barking under the medevac.
Oh, God, that would be so annoying. I would drop the Marines out just to get them to stop. So Hydra Bane is going to be the order of the day once again for Leenock, and I think that this is a great choice, especially look at the creep spread getting out here, because it is such a big map. This is hard for aLive to really slow this down. And when you go like Hydra, Ling, Bane, you're forcing the Terran to really decide here. Are they going to go into Siege Tanks and do a massive Siege Tank push? You can't really battle against this with Bio, especially when you haven't done damage to the Zerg.
Okay, a pickup comes out. And it doesn't seem like this time around aLive has been able to actually apply that same kind of pressure onto the creep. In fact, the creep's really quite pushed out here. Which means it's just going to be much, much harder for Terran to come through with a big push later on, especially to get, those mines or tanks set up like that into a position here. Now, at least we saw a little bit down there. He was starting to do some damage to that creep. Meanwhile, Zerg's getting Burrow up here, massing up at a pretty impressive rate. It's 170 of supply to Terran to 160 here for Zerg, so I think they should be maxing out at roughly the same time.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But the army that aLive is making, I don't think will be able to fight this head-on. Like, if you have that many Hydras, the mines aren't going to get as good of connections. The Marauders aren't going to be able to tank against Banelings as well, because they'll get picked off by Hydras rather easily. Hive on the way. And a few Infestors mixed in as well, which definitely can be very helpful with this comp.
The push is beginning. Also, the upgrade tempo here is actually going to aLive here. If he just gets that 3-3 on the way, that can be hugely problematic for the Zerg. There's going to be so much more muscle with this army. Now, this is bold here by aLive. He's on creep. He's way on creep, which means retreating could be problematic, but it almost seems like he has a scary enough army. He's just going to try to go for it. We see a lot of Banelings are being made, but it seems like a lot more Lings and Hydras may be burned off before the Banelings can finish.
I don't like this from aLive so much. Like, he just got 2-2, so I understand what he's trying, but he's playing like it's just Ling Bane here, but there's so many Hydras mixed in. His Marauders die in a matter of seconds, and it seems like it's getting pushed back.
Well, he's coming in here now. No, I think he's just barely got enough because the Banelings didn't quite connect. I think he shaved off just enough of the army with the Lings and the Queens that there's not quite enough to get in the way. Oh, man!
Oh, my God. Just before they have enough energy for any fungals, taking down this base as well. I guess aLive knows best, just barely breaking through everything Leenock
Well,
has.
did he overextend here? I guess he's sort of okay. It's almost like he's gone so far and he's stuck now inside the Zerg's base.
Well, I think he did enough that even if he loses this army, he's completely fine.
Yeah, I think you are right about that, Ro.32. Now, the Banelings are coming in here. Most certainly Terran needs to pick up. And pick up is what the Terran does. He may try to fly back here. Man, these Hydras doing so much damage. Taking out a few of those medevacs. Not all of them, though. 4 still escaping. And eventually looping around. What is the energy, by the way, on the medevacs?
I would imagine it's getting a little bit low.
Yeah, it should be. just for how much healing had to have gone down, and then attack that lasted for like 2 minutes or something.
Well, he has heal magic, let's not forget. So
That's right.
that definitely helps out here. But I'm surprised he actually pulled the trigger on that attack. I guess it was a really good decision because it worked out very, very well. But this composition he's been going for doesn't really match up as well against what Leenock's making. So even though he did get damage done there, I think Leenock can absolutely recover from here. He's on Hive Tech. He's starting his 3-3, albeit a bit later than aLive's, and he's got a strong set of units.
Was there some kind of a mistake here by aLive? We see the attack upgrade and the armor upgrade are really...
He might have just been low on money at that moment.
Yeah, that must have been the case, because those you normally expect that to be synced up.
Yeah.
Although maybe he thought in that push at that moment he just needs a little bit more units and didn't want to halt production. But that can be a pretty big difference.
Totally, yeah.
Right there.
He'll get that 3-3 before this game ends, I would say, undoubtedly. Like, again, even though he's got higher supply right now, I don't think that he can march across the map and win. You have to remove the creep. You can't really be fighting on creep again. Leenock is getting all of his upgrades. His Ultralisk Cavern's about to finish, so I think it's still hard to end the game as aLive.
Okay, aLive is coming out now. He's setting up a siege takedown. I don't think this push has the same degree of threat as the other push, but I do think aLive's positioning is really good here. That arc of Marauders, look at where the Banelings are, look at where the Marauders are. And three's actually, this actually I think is going to be enough because the Banelings all connected on the Marauders.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm just watching Leenock with one army hockey here.
Yeah.
Like
I felt like I was watching Leenock with one arm. But no, that was a little bit disappointing there because Leenock was trying to get the right units, but all the units went and connected in the wrong spot, and I think this game has suddenly spiraled out of control.
Yeah.
As aLive is going to take this game, he stamps out that expansion, runs for it to regroup and possibly push further on. Meeting up with the siege tanks, he might try to figure out another location where he can set up an outpost and try to strike from there repeatedly.
Yeah, it's like Leenock has some good units still left over here, but definitely, like, especially when you have Hydras, that ring of Marauders should not be eating all of your Banelings, right? Like, you can definitely deal with that more cost efficiently. Now Leenock has lost an additional couple bases.
That's the one thing that Terran wants is for the Banelings to connect only on a Marauder or one or two Marauders.
Yeah.
And there's it's just too hard to win with that. Now he's got some Ultras out here.
Yeah.
Although I worry that just the sheer number of Terran units might be able to handle this, especially if there's a few good Widowmine hits here on the Lings, and there's just not a big enough army to combo with the Ultras.
Yeah. Well, if he gets those hits, definitely. But as chitinous plating and 3-3 are going to be done in just a moment here. Oh, don't lose that, please.
Yeah, those Ultras are pretty precious.
Yeah. Like, this unit composition is just so nice for Leenock, you know? He's got a lot of Hydras in there. 3-3 Lingbane Ultra. That is really, truly scary for Terran to deal with. And just now he's switching into the Liberator portion, backing away a little bit. And I love this move from aLive, right? He's got a ton of bases. He's getting the correct tech. If he sits back and turtles a bit against a Leenock whose economy he's injured so many times, it just seems like this is a great call.
It's interesting because aLive does seem to want to get those Liberators a little bit later. Hold up.
Jeez.
Really good reactions there.
Yeah.
Now, it's okay for Terran to lose some of that army just to get those two Infestors.
Yeah. Those Infestors can turn a battle so quickly. Both of those had 2 fungals on them, too. So
that's right.
That makes that very painful.
I love that aLive has come in here, done a bunch of damage, and is now playing a really, really safe game.
Yeah. It's like making buildings in the way and getting all the correct tech. He even got a fusion core, so you get Liberator range. But there are a lot of Ultras on the way, right? So that's pretty strong. Leenock is re-expanding to some of these bases also.
Okay, Terran moving forward now. I'm a little bit worried for Leenock at any engage here. I think it's going to be really tough for Leenock to actually pick a fight on with the Terran bases. I think he can hold Terran off for a while. I don't know, especially with like the Planetary there, for instance.
Yeah.
I don't really see the Zerg coming in here
and
and rolling over a base.
To break aLive is not something it looks likely for Leenock to be able to do right now, but aLive can't kill Leenock right now on creep.
Yeah.
Like, on creep, Leenock still wins the day, but with these Liberators coming out 5 at a time, range on the way, That definitely can switch this over.
Well, the thing is that I feel like aLive is starting to adapt quite quickly here. He's trying to now get a few medevacs in here and start to drop all these various positions. These lings come in here. This is actually a really good attack. But again, another drop over here from aLive, and it doesn't seem like there's anything here to defend. A lot of workers are being hit right away.
Oh, that was an extremely good fungal. He needs to move these Hydras up a little bit closer. Another fungal goes down while the Ling harassment gets cleaned up on the other side of the map, and everything goes away there for aLive.
Well, it seems like aLive is okay bleeding off, especially some Marines here. He's just making Liberators and Marauders.
Yeah.
So even though we see Leenock holding off drops, I don't really want everybody that's watching this to think that, okay, good, he's hanging on, because aLive is actually replenishing his supply with units that he wants for later on.
Well, I want to see Leenock start to adding Corruptors. He does have a Spire now, and Corruptors are going to be a very important unit. You have to start taking out these Liberators. And to be honest, I would really like to see a few Vipers too, just to be able to yank some of those out of position, make sure that you're being as cost efficient as is possible at this point, because aLive has not missed a beat with this economy.
Well, the Liberators are coming out now. Now, bear in mind, he actually parked a lot of the Liberators in his base. He had these pooled here for quite some time. Is that? Oh, look at that. Okay.
It's like, nope.
Nope.
Still out of range.
Nope. Looks like it might work, but it doesn't. Meanwhile, we have aLive now trying to push in here. Now, there's a bunch of Banelings and Ultras over here to try to hit from two sides.
Ooh.
The main Zerg army is in the main. The other Zerg army is over in the far upper right. Is aLive going to get sandwiched, or is this army actually too strong? So many Liberators are set up here. Oh, he actually spots the counterattack army, which means they can't clash that big army at the top at the same time. So this army instead reverts over here to where this planetary is. He's evacuating SCVs. Do the Banelings just go for the command center?
Yeah, I think he can pick it off, probably. Oh, the Ultra actually gets picked off very quickly, but it detonates a lot of Banelings there on the planetary, so does pick it off, as well as some SCVs.
That being said, though, I think aLive just cleans that up like we just saw there. He needs to get those two Banelings in the very corner. Nope, he's not going to get it. But then he can keep pushing up here. I guess Leenock is going to have to rely on just the bottom left, because that's where the big creep highway is.
But look at, like you said before, he's really focusing on Marauders and Liberators, neither of which, as well as Siege Tanks that he's making now, are good against Broodlords. We could actually see a transition here into basically a Sky Zerg army, maybe a few Hydras in there to help out against the Liberators. I mean, that could be really, really good against... Look at this, 23 Marauders.
That is true.
He's just afraid... The only thing he's afraid of right now are Banes and Ultras, but he needs to be afraid of Broods as well.
I don't know if he's been scanning properly to see the Corruptors. We see almost no reaction
he's
to the
never
mass
seen
Corruptors.
It. You're right.
I think that this has been hidden so well here by Leenock, where maybe aLive should expect an eventual transition like this, that there's maybe an opportunity for Leenock to try to punish aLive.
Well, it doesn't look like he's going for Broods. It looks like these are just for support against Liberators, but if he attacks into this, he will lose everything.
Yeah.
This is aLive has made an army that kills what Leenock has.
Okay.
Really, the Corruptors are going to be the only thing that has a chance.
Oh, no!
Oh, man.
So many of those Marines just take those down for free. Now they're actually stuck outside of the army.
Yeah, 3-3 as well. Oh, I like this.
Yeah, this
the Corruptor's going after the planetary here.
Okay, now we don't get to cast this normally. Let's see if these SCVs can repair this in time.
Oh, my God.
No, that's just too many.
That damage ramps up.
It's crazy.
Okay, more Corruptors on the way. aLive is very aggressively pushing at this point. If he gets out of position, definitely Leenock's army can fight. Oh, my God. Okay. This is actually a big moment.
We don't see him giving up on the liberation zones just yet. But again, these Marines are coming in here and just gunning this down so effectively.
Yeah, the 3-3 against 0-0 is massive here. But if he can just pick off the Liberators, the army will die.
I think, though, that the Terran can now edge up here. Because the Corruptors don't seem to have as much of an army they can fight with this, I think Terran has an opening to just push across the map. Now, this is the big ground army here for Zerg, and we need to see how this army engages the rest of this. There are so many Liberators, but I think if the Marines can just stay underneath...
Oh, yeah, the Marines are trying to protect everything right now, but they can't be everywhere at once, right? So he's picking off some medevacs.
Okay, this positioning is perfect here for aLive. Look at this.
Oh,
Look
my
at that
God,
Marauder wall. Look at the Marines that are chasing down the Corruptors.
That is
And the Siege
insane.
Tanks and Liberators. It is a Zerg nightmare over here.
Okay, well, he's picking off quite a few of these medevacs still. The Corruptors are doing something. I think he can't fight right here, though. If he goes under those Liberators even for a second, his Ultras will just disappear.
Yeah, well, you see already one Ultra just is now taken out. Just taking a few shots there from the Liberators is too much. Now, the Corruptors are taking out the medevac. I mean, the Air Army is beginning to thin out here. I'm just worried that if the Terran is holding the M key here, or whatever you hotkey as your Marines, he might be able to get enough over here. No, maybe not. The Corruptors are beginning to go down. The Liberation Zones are disappearing. But how is the Zerg Ground Army doing against the Terran Ground Army? So many Siege Tanks, Marauders, Marines, against just Queens and Hydras. Even if you win the air fight, you might still lose the war.
Well, a lot of Lings and Ultras actually being produced right now, so he can get through these Siege Tanks and Marauders as those pop out. Will aLive stay here or go home? I feel like he has to go home right now.
I think you might be right, Artosis. I think he needs to back up, try to secure some more bases, and try to macro back up. But he's committing. This is a little bit of a flimsy Terran army.
Yeah.
He needs to get something to see onto the high ground.
He has no medevacs. A few Liberators come in. But that's not even good positioning, really. He's like denying some mining, sure, but he's going to lose these Liberators to the Corruptors who have no other job but killing Liberators right now.
Also, look at the bank right now for Leenock. He actually has a lot of minerals and gas he can spend.
He does.
If he just spends that all at once, this may completely throw the Terran off. Oh, no.
Every time you see something like that, man. Oh, my God.
Is it going to live?
Just for a moment.
Yeah, maybe not.
I would lose all my Marauders chasing that thing, man, for sure.
Okay, the two Ultras are going to go down, and the push continues. The Banelings, a lot of them unable to connect with the main army over here. I think actually Artosis, the ground army, is just too much. I don't know what was happening where Leenock had so many gas and minerals there. We saw he just spent it all. But in the meanwhile, the Marine Marauder is just beginning to push through and shred up everything the Zerg has. This base is too important.
You know what might have happened, Tasteless, is the Queens got pulled to help out with the Ultras. So
I see.
He might have actually just not had the larva that he needed to spend his entire bank at once and get an overwhelming force.
I think that's really good analysis. I think you're probably right about that. It was such a dramatic moment, but the Terran was able to basically kick it into high gear and keep producing, whereas Terran, or rather Zerg, had just sacrificed too much. Getting these tanks is certainly going to be helpful, but I'm wondering if the damage has already been done over here.
Well, where there's an Ultra, there's a way. Like, these Ultras definitely are still going to be very efficient. There's no medevac with these units. He's trying to micro, but you're not going to be able to micro against the Ultras here. They will chase you down and kill absolutely everything.
Yeah, Ultras with Lings are just so strong. It's too hard for a Terran to ever try to kite that.
Look at the armies. Like, these armies, this is like, Zerg can still do this. You can't really walk around on the map very easily right now. The Ultras do not die to 21 Marines.
I think if Zerg just gets a few more Lings here, or just something to try to get in there and hit these units, I think he's going to be okay. This is not a planetary over here. Despite aLive playing a very impressive game, I think at the end of the game, the Zerg may just have all the right stuff.
Yeah, his composition is truly frightening. And again,
hold up. We got Marauders out here, and not that much else for the Zerg. And remember, the one problem for the Ultras here is they can't really run away. If you get in this far, then Terran could punish just like this.
The Hydra's turning around and fighting for a moment here. He's trying to take out as much as he possibly can with what he has. The Corruptor's actually picking off medevacs as well. That's really valuable.
I think that was the fight that Zerg did not want to have. And now there's just not quite that much. This is a really spread out area for Zerg to try to defend. It is just Marauders with Corruptors now flying around like they're Corsairs in a PvZ and Brood War, taking out all the medevacs as they come out.
Now, there's not many medevacs left over.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Were those actually using their ability on flying building? That's cool. I don't think I've seen that.
Well, this is kind of funny. They both can't really stop the air attacks on each other's side. He needs to get this landed. Actually, even if he lands that,
if he lands
it doesn't matter.
Their attack does more damage.
Yeah. Okay, so it's only Marines being produced right now for Terran. Zerg not even producing beyond a hatchery. Zerg is having to use... This is like one of the scrappiest games we've had.
Yeah, this is crazy.
We'll probably even have this entire year because they both have so much of the map, but so little as far as an army goes. So many critical points. Hero, medevac, actually managing to heal that.
That one Marine. Hero Marine right there.
Jim Raynor right now. Yeah. Taking out a lot of workers. Spore crawlers. Get that Marine! He's not giving up either. He needs to have attention drawn to that one medevac on the map.
This is getting really, really funny. Look at this. Eight Lings and one Ultra being produced right now. This one Marine harassing everything. Where are the Corruptors? There they are.
By the way, Artosis, it's 37 SCVs to 28 drones. So it's actually really low, not just in Army, but in the worker count as well. And the locations they have to mine from are quite far out, even from most of the production facilities. Even for Zerg, most of the hatches are
Yeah.
actually back there towards the original expansions. Okay, this is a great attack.
Ooh, taking out some drones here is actually even very, very powerful, and taking out any mining bases really works well. Can he clear this base? Ooh, I like the double drop as well, but this part at least will get cleaned up.
Yeah, I don't know actually about dropping just the Marauders there. It seems a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, I guess you're right, actually.
You don't have like that many units here.
It almost seems like you might want to try a death ball here.
Oh, man, that's a great fungal.
Yes, it is.
Wow, okay. Leenock still got a shot here.
He needs amazing fungals
he needs
once
a
again.
spread here.
Oh,
He needs
boy.
a spread. aLive has not. Oh! Nicely done. A fungal goes down, but is there enough on the ground to win this fight? Great kiting here by Leenock. Or aLive. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, he's picking off some more medevacs as well, pulling back towards his creep. Can he keep these two ultras alive? They actually have reasonable. Oh my God! Some great transfuses, but I think he's going to end up losing
Fantastic
everything.
four of the ground army over here, but it is not quite enough. The two queens go down.
That leaves two
We're
ultras
low
that are
on
really
queens
low.
in this game.
This is the last mining base.
Yeah, I think he should just barely have enough. Now, he's actually managed to isolate the workers here. You can see he's being so cautious, he doesn't even want to take damage from broodlings.
Yeah. In fact, the two Ling harass giving a little bit of a hope to Leenock here. The ultras come in and get a death kill right there, but they are so low. He does not even have a queen.
Yeah, he has no queen whatsoever. That's it. GG.
Wow.
Nicely done. aLive wins 2-0.
Look, that was a really good game, but I think in that game, more than anything, aLive made the statement that he is just a bit of a higher level than Leenock. It seems to me like so many times during that game, I felt like aLive was outplaying Leenock. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Well, also, you can see he's got a solid 7 years experience of pushing Zergs.
Yeah.
Where he really had very different approaches on when to harass and when to dive in and when to bank his liberators and then unleash them. And as good as Leenock was at holding that, you notice he lost, and one of the bigger stories there was he lost a lot of queens when he held it.
Yeah.
So the macro engine stayed alive back there for aLive, no pun intended, but Leenock did not have enough. Anyways, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, Sue versus aLive, a fight